Hello everyone, my name is Anita Okereke and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Now before I say anything, since you're already here, I'm begging you with all humility, please kindly subscribe to my channel. It's totally free of charge. Also, click on the notification button and please like this video. These three things are totally free of charge, but it will definitely help, improve my ratings and improve my viewings and whatnot. So I'm counting on you guys. Thank you. Now, before I say anything, I know I've been away for 2 weeks. What actually happened? What had happened was I actually recorded a video. So it was meant to be, it was a nice concept that I had. I'm not going to release the concept because I'm going to redo it. I did it, but I wasn't quite comfortable in it. I can't lie to you. Perfection paralysis kicked in. So I put that on the back burner. I'm going to reshoot it. And when I have everything that I need for that video, and I'll put it out. So, having to shoot content and thinking you're going to put it out and not putting it out, it kind of, messed with me a bit. But the truth is, I'm not even here to be perfect. I'm here to just keep trying and keep showing up. So, I mean, that held me down 2 weeks, but I'm back again and I'm going to keep, as much as I can, I'm going to keep churning out the videos. So help me God. So today we're going to be talking about mistakes. And I'm not particularly sure what to call this video yet or how to coin it. If it's mistakes and patterns or basically the entire idea of this video is just to share with you my personal experiences with mistakes and share with you um, what I feel, you know, um, about that topic, especially in the place of your relationships. So, your relationships or your marriages. I'm not going to touch on friendship because I haven't hacked that one yet. In fact, I'm going to be very honest with you. Upon thinking about how I wanted to put this video together and what I wanted to talk about, I realized that in my relationship with my husband, I might be doing it right? Or at least to a fair extent, I think we kind of have that on lock. But when it comes to my relationship with my friends, I may not have accorded them the kind of grace that I should accord people because I personally feel like, and that's a mindset I'm trying to change, and that's not what this video is about, but I'm just going to put it in there quickly. For the longest time, and even up until now, I have thought, that what I show to people should be reciprocated to me. But the truth is that life doesn't quite work like that. Some people are not where you are in terms of certain aspects in your life. So some people do not understand certain things, and even you are also still coming to to understand certain things. So because of that, I always used to think when people do certain things to me, I feel like this is premeditated. This has been thought out, and you decided to do it to me because when it's my turn, I would think long about how this is going to make my friend feel, how this is going to, and so I think about all those many things and I just make my decision upon that. So rarely would you find me doing things to someone that I haven't thought out through and decided that what, this is the decision I want to make. So when I see people do certain things to me, I feel like you knew this was going to help me this way and you still did that. That means you don't care about me, and as a result, I lash out in whatever way it is I'm feeling at that time. But when I was thinking about this video, I realized that I also need to come to a place of restitution in that regards, because yes, people will do things to hurt you. Yes, people have done things to hurt me, but if I'm saying that people deserve grace and deserve the opportunity to, make mistakes without their whole character being called into question, then maybe I should also be able to afford that grace as well to my friendships. But while I'm still navigating through that, I'm going to talk about the one that I feel like um, I know a great deal about. And I'm hoping that this video is not going to be too long, but I'm going to try to give two examples of mistakes that could have, been the end of my relationship. Now, those of you on my Instagram page already kind of know the origin, or I mean, this whole, where this, you know, session, session, I'm not a therapist, where this topic, stems from. And it's because I saw something that was circulating one time when, or where a public figure, was saying how she thinks it's a red flag when a guy decides to propose when his partner is going through or is celebrating a major achievement. she thinks it's a red flag. Now, red flag or red flags are a big deal. Okay, so personally, right, I think that red flags should be more about patterns and behaviors than about wrong judgment calls. Now, this is not in its entirety, but I feel like for the most part, that is how we should be able to decipher or differentiate between red flags and between mistakes. Now, what are mistakes? Mistakes are basically wrong judgment calls. Do you understand? Doing something that you may have thought would work out that didn't work out. You know, while patterns or behaviors are repetitive, so most of the time they're ingrained into the person's person. They're ingrained into that person. Do you understand? And like someone said to me, how you do one thing is how you do so many things. So there are certain things that you see people do that you know that this one I follow come. And there are certain things that you see people do that you know what, this one is a mistake. And I'm talking from my personal experience. To be very honest with you, I am not the know all. I'm equally just navigating. I'm a 30-year-old who has experienced certain things, and I'm coming here to share it with you. And I would give you two what should I call it now? Two examples of one thing that I did and one thing that Onyeka did, and that judging from the way people term things red flags quickly now and the way people just cancel people, do you understand? It could have cost me the relationship that has brought me this much joy, that has taken me this far in my life. I like to think that my relationship with my husband has brought me really far, and along the line I'll eventually talk about all of that. I like to also think that he's one of the best decisions that I've made in my life. I like to also think that my marriage is really beautiful and God has blessed us with so many things. However, there are two situations I would like to talk about today that may have cost me the joy that I have now and that I have experienced for the past 7 years of my life being in relationship with the man, and for the past 5 years of my life being in marriage with the guy. Now, currently, and I said it on my Instagram that day, I do not feel like there's room for a lot of mistakes anymore in this our generation. I feel like once you make one mistake, you are easily cancelled. And, you know, I think that may honestly stem from a place of PTSD. Do you understand? People have experienced so much in their life, and it's trauma. Like once you see any sighting of it, you already have overcalculated and blah 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 blah. And this is not to say that you shouldn't, think things through, but this is just so that sometimes, some people make genuine mistakes. So unless you do not think that this person has your best interest at heart, unless you are not sure about the person from the beginning, there are some things that you should call mistakes. Now, let me categorically say that cheating is not a mistake. You do not stumble into another man's bed or another woman's bed. You do not stumble on top of another man's penis. You do not stumble into another woman's vagina. This is a safe space. I'm believing that we're all above 18 watching this video. But cheating is not a mistake. Am I saying that you can't come from cheating, that you can't, relationships can't come from cheating and move on? That is not for me to decide. That is a personal decision that you're going to make or take by yourself. A lot of people feel like infidelity is something that you can come from. I'm not talking about that. I'm not even going to talk about myself in that regard. Um, Cheating is not a mistake. Again, infidelity is not a mistake. Neither is domestic violence. That as well is not a mistake. You do not mistakenly hit me, especially repetitive. Hey, especially when it's repeated. You do not mistakenly hit anybody. So those two things I can tell you categorically, and because those are the two things coming to my head. There are a lot of other things that I would say to you are not mistakes, in my own opinion. However, I'm just going to delve right into the story, or dive right into the story. So this was when I was dating Onyeka, and we were already engaged to be married. And it was his birthday. So it was his, I think, 29th birthday. And he had just rented a house the year before, And you know how it is now, a bachelor coming up, you rent your house, you don't put AC yet, you buy a couple fans. The first thing you first do, for people that have not had their parents furnish their houses for them, for people that are trying to do it by themselves, the first thing most people do is to sort out their room. At least when I come from work, make I get where I go feel sleep. That kind of thing. So he sorted out his room. Fortunately, got a someone blessed him with a bed at the time. So he had a bed, he bought some fans. Maybe he even had an air conditioner in that room. I can't really remember. But the parlor wasn't fully set up. To the best of his ability, he had chairs, he had TVs, and that was it. The most that was in that parlor was one fan. Me, I wasn't living with him before I got married, so he probably just had a fan. It probably was even one fan. He would move from parlor to room based on where he was. But for the most part, he was probably in the room because he would just watch stuff on his laptop. So what do you call it? It was his birthday. And I make a big deal out of birthdays. General celebrations, to be honest, I make a big deal out of them. But it's just me. I like to host, I like to celebrate, I like to be celebrated, I like to celebrate other people as well. And this is the love of my life. I am definitely going to celebrate you in any way, any form, I find. And the year before that, he always had said to me, that he wasn't a birthday person. He didn't like celebrations. His birthdays just come and go. But I'm like, look at this Igbo man. It's because you have not met me. Once you meet me, I'm going to show you the better life of celebration. So the first birthday he had, I threw a surprise party. Rented out. It was Izanagi. Was it Sakura? I can't remember. One of these Izanagi or Sakura or one of these restaurants in VI anywhere. Rented it out. Invited his close friends and family, about 20 people. Three-course meal, covered their bills. It was so great. He really liked it. So I'm like, you know what? Your latter can never be better. Your latter has to be better than the former. You get me? So I'm like, this time I'm going to, do something nice. He said he didn't want to make noise. He didn't want to make noise. I was like, you know what? He said he didn't want anything. Not that he didn't want to make noise. He told me categorically, see this today, this babe, this is my birthday. I don't want to do anything. I just want to relax. I just want to be by myself. And he fell on a Saturday. Every Saturday morning he goes to play football. He said he just wanted to go and play football and chill. And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to do anything? You don't like celebrations because you've not had anybody to celebrate you. I'm here to celebrate you, to show how much of a star you are, and as a result of that, I'm going to celebrate you. And I asked him, tell me why you don't want to celebrate you don't want to, even if it's a small house party, what is it? In my own head, I'm like, if I get the reason why he doesn't want to be celebrated in that way, maybe I will be able to solve the problem. And if I cover the problem, then we can now go on ahead. So he said he had just moved into the house. He hadn't fixed like air conditions and whatnot ability. So he said, you know what, I don't want people to come and sweat in my house and blah blah blah. So I'm really not down for it. So I was living with my family at the time, my uncle's house. So I carried every fan that was possibly available in that house. I loaded up, I marinated chicken, I bought so much. I'm like, since he said heat is the problem, I'm going to solve the heat problem. I'm going to carry every fan. I think maybe I carried like 6 fans, even if I did not even buy. Do you understand? That's maybe 4 plus the 2 that were already in the house or whatnot. And I carried food in abundance and drinks and whatnot. And I sent out messages to all his friends. I'm like, you know what, guys? And a lot of them, this is the first time they are going to be hearing this story. But I'm like, you know what, guys? Show up on Yanka's house, a surprise party. He doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. And be there at this time, this the address, this. Anyway, so that day I showed up at his house. Of course, he wasn't around. He had gone to play football. So I parked in the driveway. I was in the house, right? So he came into the house. I'm like, surprise, your friends are coming over. I sorted it out. I brought fans. It's not going to be hot. I've checked the weather forecast. It's going to be cool. And the guy went off. I told you I didn't want a birthday party. I told you I didn't want to celebrate it. I just want to play football. I want to come back to my house. I want to sleep. I don't want people in my house. I don't want people coming to my house to come and sweat. Why didn't you listen to me? Well, what part of this is so hard for you to understand? And he was so angry. And I was so heartbroken. So I ran into the car, I slammed the door, and the first thing was to turn on the ignition and put the car in reverse and drive out. Do you understand? 2 people could have considered this a red flag. He could have considered it a red flag in the sense that I tell this girl something, she doesn't listen to me. That means she's not going to be listening to me. That means she's not going to be submissive to me. That means she's just going to go on ahead and do whatever it is that she wants to do. I also could have considered it a red flag in the sense that I took out my time to do something for somebody. Anybody that even thinks like me, his own I can even understand a bit, but my own, if you are thinking like that, in the name of Jesus, I rebuke that level of self-centeredness and lack of responsibility or lack of taking responsibility for your actions. Anyway, but in some clients or to some people that were like me, they would have considered him and what he did a red flag because it's like, how can I take out time to do something for someone as well, and they're so brash and so harsh and, literally throw it in my face. So the first thing that came to my mind was to turn on the ignition and put the car in reverse and zoom out of there. And, of course, a fight will ensue from there. It probably took us a few days to get back on track and blah, blah, blah. But as I sat in the car and locked the door, the Holy Spirit just ministered to me that this is supposed to be the rest of your life. This guy is supposed to be the rest of your life. Is this how you are going to run away from every conflict? Will you run into the car, lock the door, and drive off because you have a car and you have where you can go to? Is this how you intend to resolve every conflict? So at that point, I just put my head on the steering and I cried. I cried because I'm like, God, this lesson you are trying to teach me right now. I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready to learn this lesson. I just want to be upset. So I put my head on the steering and I cried. I'm like, God, I'm not ready for this lesson. And this is shameful. This is shameful, and my pride cannot take it. So I knew in my heart that I wasn't ready for that lesson at the time. Like, somebody can't just throw, like, where do I start from? First of all, he's embarrassed me. So I'm embarrassed in front of him. Then I have people that I have invited, you know. How would I start disinviting them? Then I have family that I've left saying that, oh, I'm going to go through a surprise party for Nika. How do I go back home and tell them, like, come on, what kind of embarrassment is this? How would this guy not even consider the fact that I'm doing something for him? And I sat in the car and I cried and I pulled myself together. It took him a minute to come out coming. I pulled myself together and then I started disinviting people. So I was like, okay, it's too late. I don't think that I can disinvite anybody. So whatever it is, it's going to have to deal with the fact that certain people will show up to the house, whether I'm there or not. But I'm going to disinvite my friends because his demeanor, would be too bad. And Onyeka, he doesn't really know how to pretend. So I started calling all my friends, telling them not to come. I told my best friend Sheun then at that time to not come. Everything I told, or I told most of my babes, that I don't even know the story I told them. I told them a lie. And God forgive me, and you guys forgive me, but this is a real story. So I disinvited them, and maybe a few of his guys as well that I thought weren't really close guys, I disinvited. But then the close guys, I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. I've made this mistake and I'm just gonna move on. So while I was in the car, chilling, not chilling, but trying to put myself together and think about what I was gonna do with all the food because I've disinvited people, so there's a waste of drink, waste of food, and blah blah blah. He now came out, to the car to meet me, and he was knocking on the window, and I was so sad, and he had visibly, I could see that he realized that he might have been a bit too harsh. So I went down a bit and he's like, you know what, just come in and come and set up. I can't even remember the exact words he said at the time. But yeah, so I went in, you know, and I set up, and for the few people that came, I don't know if they were sweating or whatever, but hey, that happened and that happened. So anyway, a lot of lessons I have learned from that. And I didn't even learn all the lessons at once. I learned the lessons in part. So first of all, I was glad, especially now. And truth is, now think then I didn't even think about it like this. It was just a mistake, and we both knew that what, we loved each other. We both knew that we were right for each other. We both were setting in our hearts, that whatever thing that happens, you get, is never from a place of malicious intent. It's never from a place of wickedness. It's never from a place of lack of trust. It's probably from a place of, wrong judgment calls, or from a place of wrong judgment. And that was why we were able to handle it the way we handled it. We had a good time that day, and at the end of the night, he told me he was sorry. I don't know if I said I was sorry at the time, but now I'm sorry, because I've come to realize that you cannot celebrate somebody how you want to be celebrated. And that's why there's a thing called love languages. So everybody has their love language. And I feel like there are more love language than even the five that they said to us. But yeah, everybody has their love language. And it's imperative that you celebrate people the way they want to be celebrated, and not the way you like to be celebrated, not the way you think that they should be celebrated, because it can be misconstrued. It can be. In fact, what's funny was, actually, you've read about this on the internet recently about a man that his wife threw a lavish party for, and the guy came home, saw it, stormed off, went to his pastor's house, and went somewhere, a hotel or something, and it took pastors and a couple of days for them to beg him to come back. I'm not going to talk about his reaction, it's not my business. But seeing how it turned out for me, I'm grateful that my husband did not consider it a red flag. I'm grateful that he afforded me that level of understanding to know what, to say, you know what, she did what I did not want her to do, but it was not from a place of wickedness. It was not from a place of hatred. It was not from a place of headstrongness. It was not from a place of lack of submission or lack of understanding. And that's something I'm just trying to pass across today, that sometimes your partners may do things, that are hurtful. They may honestly just do things that hurt you. But then you have to look at it. Is it a pattern? Is it a repetitive pattern, or is this just a wrong judgment call? I personally think that depending on how your relationship is with someone, and I'm going to go back to, the beginning, the origin of this thing. If someone proposes to you on, a day that you're celebrating something great, there's so many ways to look at it. What about the cherry on the cake? What is wrong with double celebration, as somebody said to me on my Instagram? What is wrong with, sharing that excitement with the person? And also, what is wrong with later on telling the person, hey, babe, we're going to have so many other celebrations to come. I don't appreciate this. Why is it such a red flag? Is it that you do not trust? I even saw them saying stuff about anybody that does that is attention seeking and is trying to. I'm like, you really think that about the people that you're dating? You really think that somebody you are dating that has got to, because like I said as well on Instagram, I like to think that there's a natural progression of how a relationship should go. There's the excitement period, there's the desire, there's the passion, and then there's the love, and then there's the intend to spend your life together, blah 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 blah. And there's the intent to spend the rest of your life together. I feel like it happens simultaneously for both people. So I feel like it progresses naturally for the people. So unless you're in a relationship where you are not on the same wavelength as your partner, these things should progress simultaneously. And I'm not even going to talk about that one. That one is a different dimension altogether. Anyway, if you are in a relationship where things should be progressing naturally, right? I would like to believe that the person you're thinking of taking that step with is not someone that you think is attention seeking. If you think he's attention seeking, there should have been patterns, and behaviors over time that have made you feel like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life with this person because he's attention seeking, and his attention seeking is a detriment to our relationship and to, our future. I think that he likes to take my shine. I think that he likes to take my thunder. I even consider you selfish, because I think to myself, like, how is it so that you can't, you don't want to, for whatever reason, share this one time, with someone? Because by the grace of God, the plan is for us to have so many celebrations. The plan is for us to experience so many good things and be promoted so many times and experience so much growth that we're celebrated so many times. And then somehow you feel like anytime they're celebrating, you should just be you. And I know that there's also a chance that it's coming from a place of marginalization, just because, we've been marginalized a lot as women. So it always still feels like generally the male gender tries to undermine our achievement a lot. But do you really think this about the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with? And if you really think it, then why for the life of me and you are you going down that direction? It makes no absolutely no sense to me, because I want to believe that you're picking the best person for you. I mean, one of the prayers I used to pray before I found my husband, when I'll tell God then that, God, if there's one good man left on this earth, if there's just one, that man is my own. If there's only one good person, so you really believe that after praying to God, God is going to send you somebody that wants to steal your thunder, and as a result, you're going to have to be wanting to be watching your back every minute. There are things that would make you feel like that. But if those things occur, that would mean that you should never be at the point of walking down the aisle, at the point of even proposal, with this person. Anyway, so without having to flog it, I'm sure that you get my point. I'm sure that you understand what I'm trying to say. And I will try to summarize again what it is I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that, sometimes people just make bad mistakes. People make mistakes, and a lot of all these mistakes, if you look at the heart of the person, is from a good place. So you now realize that, what, they just made the right decision at the wrong time. And that is not something that should cost you your happiness, unless you didn't think that you were going to get any happiness from that relationship and you considered even calling it off in the first place, So before we term things red flags, we should really think about the intent of it, and think about the heart that is coming from. And I know that a lot of this has to do with the kind of partner that you choose. So this, first of all, I would say to single people, is to choose right. And I don't know that I'm the expert at it, but maybe one time I will talk about how I arrived where I have. And this is to married people, that sometimes, people, it's okay for people to be angry when they don't think that things go according to their plans, but it's not okay for you to now term it for you to now call their whole behavior, into question just because of that one judgment call. You don't want to put yourself on that pedestal. You don't want to form perfection. Do you understand? Because when you begin to attain or place yourself on that level where it's like you have to be perfect, there's no coming back from it. Oh. You best not make any mistake. You best not make any wrong judgment calls. And is that really what life is about? And as I'm talking about this, I'm also talking to myself as well, because I'm now understanding where I have got it wrong in friendships, because I have not gotten it right with a lot of friendships. And half the time I always say, but I did this, I was right, I was kind, I was fair, I was supportive. And I find that the problem always starts when my friends make a mistake. And something I even used to brag about. I always be like, me, I'm cool. Oh. But my own madness, they start once you vex me. Once you vex me, action and reaction are equal and opposite. And I'll be quoting Einstein and blah, blah, blah. But even as I talk about this and as I look deeper into it, I realize that, you know what, I don't even want to put myself on that level of perfection. So moving forward with even the kind of friends I keep as well, I should understand that if this person is indeed genuine, and I consider this person to be indeed genuine, there's a chance that they would make mistakes every now and again. And may God give me the grace to forgive them. Now I'll move on to the next story. All right. Now, this story is now about what Onyeka did to me that could have been considered a red flag. So, a few months into our relationship, when I had even done that um lavish birthday that I did for him that time, that everybody, in fact, I invited his auntie, his uncle, that has blood, oh. So it was like, this is the babe, blah, 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 blah. I and Onyeka were driving down, is it Fure Zimora, one of these roads in Lekki Phase 1. And I don't know what it is that we saw that made us start talking about sickle cell. And if you know my husband, in fact, on his Instagram page, I think he wrote something about I am AS. Do you know your genotype or something about that? He has been burnt so many times when it comes to relationship and genotypes and whatnot. So he puts it out there. He's a firm, believer of don't bring children to this world to come and suffer. I mean, thank God for science now, and thank God that there are ways that you can now, doctor some of all these things and still be with somebody you believe that you should be with. But for the most part, it's just safer, safe than sorry. It's better safe than sorry. So we were driving down the street. We had a good time. I think we even went to see a movie, and we were just driving down. I was talking about AS and blah blah blah. And he asked me again, at the beginning of the relationship, he had asked me, what is your genotype? And I said it was AA. So he asked me again, and just in the gist, I was like, me, I don't even know what my genotype is, blah, blah, blah. And before I know it, this guy legit slammed the brakes on the car. And he said to me that you're gonna go um, do your test tomorrow. And if you're AS, this is possibly the last conversation we're ever going to have. And my mind went in a lot of directions. First of all, who do you think you're talking to like that? And then I said to him, I think I even responded, say, oh, no, 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 I'm actually really certain that I'm AA because in NYC camp, I gave out blood and he was like, don't worry. I said to him, you know what, okay, I'm going to do the test. And then to crown it all up, he now said to me, and you are going to do the test in my friend's lab. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to send you to my friend's lab on Festival Road. I think then there was one cleaner Lancet or something on Festival Road, close to 1004. And that's what you're going to do. And I think that was what even broke me the most, because I'm like, there's absolutely no, this guy doesn't trust me. Like, he doesn't trust that I would not come and hook him, basically. So I was so sad. I didn't say anything. It was a silent drive from there to my house, and I came down. The next morning, I drove, to the place, and I did the test, and the result came out, and I didn't say a word. I sent it to him, and I gave them his email addresses and told them to send it directly to him, and I was AA, you know. And of course, from there now came all the apologies and whatnot. Now, I would not lie to you that I considered ending the relationship. I felt like, you know what, this is a red flag. This is lack of trust. But to be honest, had he shown me trust in a lot of other decisions that he had made? Yes. Had he considered me trustworthy enough in so many other things that he had done? Yes. Had he shown me that he believed in me? Had he respected me? Did he always put me first? Did he always trust and believe the things that I said? Yes. But this one time, he just spoke wrongly. And I could even tell that the moment he said it and he dropped me up, he realized that he had, messed up. But he's like, you know what, it is what it is, right? Let's just move forward. And this is not making excuses for him, but I've noticed a lot of things in some guys. Shout out to the expressive guys. You guys are the real MVPs. Like the guys that actually know how to communicate their feelings or communicate their thought per time. You guys are the real MVPs. But I've noticed not just with my husband, but with a lot of people sometimes, right? It's hard for them to express the passion in what they are saying without being so crude or so, harsh. And thinking about it, he was just trying to explain to me how important it was for him, how important he considered it that I like how important. Hey, Chukwu, the confusion English is scattered. But he was just trying to communicate how important that situation was for him. And did he say the wrong words? Yes. And I felt the instant regret when, that thing came out of his mouth. But it had come out. And I assure you that it's something a lot of people would have considered red flags, you know. But then think about it too. Was even the intent malicious? Who wants to bring an SS child to this world to come and suffer? And then your wife will be sad, you will be sad, the child will be sick. And do you understand? So his intent wasn't bad. Was his delivery bad? Definitely, But you now have to look at the patterns, And my pastor said on Sunday, Pastor Bolaji, I'm a proud harvester. My pastor said on Sunday that do not marry potential. Hmm? Marry patterns, because some people's potentials will not actualize. And even trying to tie it back into the story, there's some people that you say, he looks like he can be a nice guy. He didn't really mean what it is that he was saying. But there are times when that you will now have to sit back and look at the track record and say to yourself, Omo, in so many decisions that we've had to make as a couple or whatnot, how have I been treated? What are the things that he has shown me that makes me believe that, this guy has my best interest at heart? So I don't even know if that's what I did at the time, to be honest. But looking back now, that's probably what I should have done. I don't remember how I handled the situation in terms of my thought process. But what I know was that he apologized profusely. He explained himself and tried to be as bare and as vulnerable as he could be. And I got the message because I knew the intent. But I don't know how I would have come about that decision. But now, in the times of logical thinkers, of more logical thinkers and emotional thinkers, now this is a good way to go about it. It's great for you to now look at the patterns. Consider other little decisions. Has he trusted your opinions in other little decisions? Has he given you a voice in other little decisions? Has he believed in you? Has he shown you how much he loved you? In a lot of things that he does. So you know that okay, he definitely wants to spend the rest of his life with me. He has definitely shown and proven, that he's down for me 100. I'm just going to say that it will be great for you to look at the patterns, look at behaviors, look at how things have come from the past, and not call somebody's whole or call your whole relationship into question because of a bad judgment call. Because you can also be in a position where you make bad judgment calls. So I just feel like generally in this our climb, there's not enough time or enough room for people to make mistakes, and we need to understand that mistakes will be made time and time again. Even who was it that denied Jesus? Not Peter that denied Jesus 3 times. Why did he not throw him into turn him upside down self on that cross and nail him? But yet God knew it was from a place of fear, and knew that the human part of him took over, and God forgave him. But here you are, saying that because somebody proposed on the day that you are celebrating the closure of a mad fashion show, that means the person is inconsiderate and an attention seeker. So as a result, that's the end of your relationship. He should know better. You best know best all the time. Oh. So I mean, that's what I'm gonna say about this topic, and I hope that you learned something. And I felt the need to put this out there again because even when I posted it on my Instagram, a friend of mine that was going through something in her relationship as well messaged me and said that this just resonated with me in the sense that what she was going through was totally different from what was going on. But she realized that maybe I think her spouse had made a mistake and she was hanging it over his head and already contemplating the fact that it might cost her relationship. And just her listening to me at that time, and that's why God is very timely. Just her listening to it at that time made her realize that, come on, I need to look at patterns and not just base everything off of this one mistake. So I really hope that I was able to come across to someone. I hate to sound like a therapist, but I'm hoping that God is just going to. I'm just going to follow this whole journey the way it's taking me. If it's taking me to come out here and share experiences and teach, I will do that. If it's taking me to come out here and minister, I will do that. If it's taking me to come out here and shake bomb bomb, I don't really know. But yes, I'm just going to follow it as it comes. Yeah. So again, another very serious video, but I really hope that you learned something from this. Yeah, so hopefully more interesting topics come up. Hopefully I'm able to share so many things. There's just something about our generation that draws a lot of us to relationships. Yet we gonna form say we don't like marriage, we don't like relationship. Yet almost everything circles back to love and relationship and marriage, even the hatred of it. It's just so funny. So lucky we want to talk about relationship. And lucky I found that I have a lot to say about relationships as well. So I'm not going to hold myself back. If the next 4 or 5 topics are going to be about relationships, so be it. If it's not as well, so be it. I'm just going to follow it and see how it leads me. So thank you so much, guys, for listening to me today. Thank you for hanging out with me. Please subscribe, please like, please press notification button, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.